Welcome to the Rainbow Rundown,
We meet you where you at, and we take you where you want to be.
featuring this month's guests.
This is Mr. Kenneth Kimbrough. Hey everybody, I'm Kevin LEARY.
The Rainbow Clubhouse is a rehabilitation program which provides a safe and supportive environment, forging new relationships and uplifting members.
Now please sit back, relax, and enjoy this month's Taste of the Rainbow.
This is Mr. Kenneth Kimbrough with the Rundown with the Rainbow Podcast. I'm here with Mr. Kevin LEARY. So welcome to our program. So how you doing, Kevin, today?
I'm doing good today. I'm glad to be here.
I would like to ask you, first of all, so some of our listeners can get some information on you. How long have you been a member of the Rainbow?
I would say I'm guessing roughly around 6 months.
About 6 months.
Yeah.
Has this program helped you a lot since you've been here?
Oh, it's been extremely helpful. I'm glad to be a part of it. Yes.
And by the way, what's really curious to me also is the program that they have on the first floor, because I had a few friends went to the sorority program that they have down there, which didn't exist till years ago. It's really actually was created. I don't know if you know that, but that was the former location of this clubhouse.
Oh, really?
Yeah, until we moved up here in 2019. Then it actually turned into a sorority alcoholic rehabilitation facility for people in the community. So what is the process of people that goes through that program?
Okay, so, I was struggling with substance abuse, and I went to rehab.
Mm-hmm.
And then they signed me there for the aftercare. So that's how I got started there.
So people do inpatient and outpatient?
Well, no, it's an outpatient.
How do you do that?
It's an outpatient. It's mostly group therapy,
Mm-hmm.
but you have a counselor. You have a social worker that helps you with, whatever issues you might have. And basically, it's like what helps the most is the group therapy. Just being with a group of people who are going through the same thing that you're going through.
And y'all people get up and speak about
Yeah. We all speak about
journey and battles with addiction.
Yeah, we speak about our battles with addiction because everybody's going through it. Like something one person might say, he's talking about his battle, but it helped me see things clearly with my battle. I mean, we're all going through the same thing, basically.
Do this program also leads to opportunities as far as once people reach their goals of getting sober, as far as housing and things like housing and
so the main
employment and
yeah,
things going forward in their life.
Yeah, so the main thing is like getting sober and staying sober. And once you've been sober for a little while, if you need help with housing, they would help you with housing. If you need help with employment, they will help you with employment. Yeah. So they help in all areas. Fortunately for me, I have housing. I didn't need any of those stuff. I just was struggling to stay clean.
Well, everybody. That's like a big problem in America, and there are more people that advance towards getting that help, gonna make them a better person.
Yeah.
What is one other thing I wanted to ask you was, what is your biggest challenges every day once you leave this program with dealing with everyday life? Because everybody got some challenges, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's just the community in which they live in.
Yeah, my biggest challenge is the community that I live in. Is just look like there's constant drugs all around. Like every day I'm seeing people that I used to get high with. I'm seeing drug dealers I used to cop from, and they're still trying to get me. I can see them. They're trying to lure me back.
Is this here in Harlem?
Yeah, right up the block. I live out the street. I live on 166. So they're it's all over the place.
He's basically not far from where I'm living at 148 in Broadway.
Okay, yeah.
I kind of, there's this community in itself on kind of went on a renaissance with the gentrification and the removal of the drug to a pretty low level.
Yeah.
It ain't like it used to be.
Yeah.
And do you think that as a whole, New York City has did a good job on dealing with that problem?
From my vantage point, it doesn't appear so. I mean, like, okay, so you're talking about Broadway, you're talking about Columbia, that area. So that area is gentrified. Where I'm at, which is only 2 blocks, 2 blocks east of Broadway, but it's not gentrified.
Well, basically, where you at to where I'm at,
Mm-hmm.
if you take like, I'm gonna give you a good ratio of the area where I'm kind of maybe from 1/4 up to maybe the 60s. You don't think that has been a dent in the drug activity in that immediate area?
Well, first of all, I didn't grow up here, so I've only been living there. I've been living there for about 6 years.
In New York City?
No. I mean, where I'm living now. Before that, I was in Brooklyn. I mean, I was in the New York City area, but I mean, I didn't live up this area
for 6 years.
For the last 6 years.
That's amazing. That's an amazing thought. I want to hold you with this thought because I basically moved in this area in '98.
Okay, so you've seen a lot of change.
And this area was way worse in '98 than it is now.
I can imagine.
I guarantee you.
I can imagine. Like a lot of areas in New York.
But you say farther around where your area, it still has a lot of work to be done.
Oh, it's a lot. Like I said, when you talk about Broadway, when you talk about Columbia University, so you get a lot of gentrification. So it's cleaned up a lot. When you come down to where I'm at, it's not
around the 60s.
Well, yeah, around 160, 160 for that area. It's not gentrified yet, so it's still really, really bad.
and learn something new every day because I would have not have thought so.
But when I say bad,
I haven't been up that way.
Yeah, when I say bad, I mean it's just a lot of drugs. But I mean, I haven't seen any shooting, I haven't seen any violence. like way back when, like back.
The violence part of it on cut.
Yeah. So the violence is cut down, and it's a heavy police presence, but the drugs is prevalent. Like now I don't even like nowadays. Because I'm recovering from addiction, I don't even go there anymore. I will go around. I will go up Broadway, come down, and then walk down to Amsterdam.
So what kind of plans do you have going forward? You employed now?
No, well, I'm retired. Actually, I've been fortunate. I've worked in corporate America for a very long time.
Yeah, for real? Wall Street?
Well, not Wall Street. Well, actually, Wall Street, but I wasn't a broker.
Yeah, for real?
I worked in, there was the hotel right in the World Trade Center. So I worked there for like 22 years as a food and beverage director.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and so fortunately, I have a college degree. So I didn't even start doing drugs until after I got out of college.
Well, at least you finished college. I still got like another year and a half.
Yeah, knock it out.
Of credits to go back.
Yeah, knock it out. So I'm saying, so my story is like a little bit different maybe than a lot of people because I wasn't, I grew up in a stable home. I didn't do drugs growing up. Like I said, I didn't do my first drug until after I graduated college. That's when I got introduced to cocaine.
Where was you born and raised at?
I was born in Brooklyn, but my family moved to White Plains, New York, Westchester County, when I was 2 years old. Okay, and I lived there from 2 till I graduated high school. So I grew up in Westchester.
Away from a lot of bad environment.
Away from this, I mean, Westchester had this stuff, but it's not magnitude, like it's not at the magnitude of New York City, not even close.
Your background, where you actually was away from a lot of things that you are actively seeing in your community.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of me.
Well, I'll tell you this though. Like my father owned a restaurant in the South Bronx when I was growing up, so I spent a lot of time there. So I seen it, but I wasn't living in it. You know what I mean? To me, it was like growing up, that was exciting. But at the end of the day, I went back to Westchester, to a nice house. You know what I mean? So I wasn't living like them, but I seen it up close, And I've always enjoyed New York.
As a kid growing up, as a teenager in Westchester, slow life,
mellow in comparison.
Kind of boring.
Well, no, I wouldn't say well, I spent most of my time in New York growing up, but it's laid back and it's definitely much slower.
But once you came to Washington Heights, was you more amazed with
I already knew what
excitement of being in Harlem?
No. I mean, I already knew what was there. I already used to the excitement. Like I said, I kind of, even though I grew up in Westchester, I also grew up down here because my father owned restaurants. So I was always working. I mean, I worked at his restaurants always. In the summer after school, I would come down here and work down here. I had a lot of friends down here that I grew up with also. So I was like living both lives, New York City life and my Westchester life. And I had different rules for each life.
So your experiment and just curiosity of just getting into the use of drugs got your curiosity.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, like I said, I started doing drugs shortly after I graduated. After I got out of college, literally the first job I started doing drugs. Like it was almost immediately, And then I actually got clean. I was clean for 32 years, and then when I moved up here, I slipped. It just took.
Was it because the use of drugs? Was it because you were just born, or you just wanted to experience?
No, I didn't want to experience
that. You had to reach that level of success.
Well, it was just the atmosphere, and it got a little bored, and I was just constantly around it. And just one day, it started slowly though. It started with weed.
Give me a definition of what you mean constantly around it.
Okay, the building I live in, there's probably 5-6 apartments that are dealing drugs. Some dealing crack, some dealing heroin, some dealing ecstasy, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So, and there's a lot of people that I know that I could hear them making drug deals outside my window. And I live on the second floor. And drug deals are right in front of my building, so I can hear it. So it's constantly around me. Not most of the people, I'd say more than half the people in the building are heavy into drugs. So that's what I mean. It's just a constant,
Your stories kind of mirror my story to some extent because I had to be around it. That's how I actually started using drugs.
Yeah.
It was my job to be around.
Yeah,
so that was my fate.
Yeah,
and almost like you, I was slowly eased into it by coming here. My father was like your father, had businesses.
Yeah,
and as I came up here as a teenager, he kept me away from it.
Yeah,
but he was into the drug life of my father.
Oh, okay.
So. That's why your story kind of mirrors mine.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
But unlike you, I actually held a good grade point average in college and barely went. Half the time I went, I was high. When I went to class, which makes me think how much better I could have had done if I hadn't had that ghost on the side that I had got myself involved in.
Yeah,
so
like my father was very, very, very street smart. Okay, so if I took a hit on a joint, he would know. He just knew. He'd be around. He knew. So he was very strict about drugs. Stay away from drugs. Like his guidance was very important. Growing up, because like we was in the South Bronx. It was always me and him. I was always in his restaurants, and like the drug game, I was to have no parts of it. He knew all the drug dealers. All the drug dealers knew him, and because they knew him. If I went up there where they were selling drugs, what are you doing up here, Kevin? Get out of here, So
could I ask you, what year was your father born?
Like 1903 or something.
a little older than my father.
Yeah.
My father was born in 1920. He had a different philosophy.
It actually might have been.
You ever heard of when a father that actually think that you can conquer anything over mind over matter? My father told me to try drugs because I had to be strong.
Keep away from drugs.
He told me I had to be strong.
Yeah.
That I could actually function and try it once just to know what it was.
Yeah. My father was
Which was a big lie.
Yeah, my father was the complete opposite.
My
away from drugs.
My first encounter with that was like just walking in on my father and a group of people, and he telling me to try it.
Yeah. You know, my father, like, when I look at what he accomplished.
I'm like a freshman in college, and I'm like,
yeah,
might as well. Everybody else around me doing it.
Yeah. Like in college, it was hard to not smoke weed, because everybody, there's a lot of drugs in college.
It's a big drawback, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like you. I look back at them years and wish I hadn't been thrust into that environment.
But he's always talked to me about drugs a lot. That was like a big conversation, and not only like doing drugs, but dealing drugs, being around drug addicts, the violence that comes with it, all that. Like he used to always tell me, don't do anything that's gonna get you locked up or killed. And yeah.
Well, I'm kind of thankful to share your story. Maybe one day we could collaborate on a book.
Yeah, for real.
We definitely got that in common with our fathers. Did you? How long was your father in business? That's another thing I would like to ask.
So from the time, so he worked for the transit, and then he started that job at 18.
Then he went to his own.
And then at 38, he retired. Even though he wasn't getting independent, but he retired, and then bought restaurants. And then the one he brought a restaurant. He had a couple. Then he brought one in the South Bronx that was a real money maker. Only thing is that it catered to drug. It was in the heavy drug area, and it catered to heroin dealers. Right, but they were spending tons of money.
Wow,
so they were spending tons of money, and that was his money maker. And then from that one, he bought a couple other restaurants. But I appreciate what he did because he had no education. His mother died when he was 6, so he had 0 education, and he built all this. I mean, we grew up in a nice house in Westchester County, and he did all that. So I appreciate all of that.
That's an amazing story because, like, again, my father only had a high school diploma.
Yeah.
And he was way ahead of his time.
Yeah. He was like,
it's funny, like, you could actually meet people that's similar, their family background is similar to yours. That's what amazes me about your story. Your story is similar. Your father's story is similar to my father's story. Never went set foot in the college classroom, but were way ahead of their time.
Way ahead of their time.
It's amazing, man. At that time in the early 1900s, they were born.
Yeah, but like that's 2 things he preached: no drugs and education. So all my siblings, we all graduated college.
And that's another thing my father preached. He preached going to college. In fact, from some of my father's legal and illegal activities, my father actually had a foundation, which he called the Kim Kimbrough Foundation, which my father actually sent mad kids in it. Community college. Yeah. He actually believed in that. But he was like one of these, like, whatever means possible to achieve that.
Yeah.
That some people achieve some.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're doing something else in the community.
Yeah.
That's going under the radar. You understand what I'm
saying? Yeah.
That was that's the drawback to that.
Yeah.
But we had mad block parties.
Yeah.
Where my father would feed the whole community.
Yeah.
Because he was actually benefiting from his businesses in the community.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing how your father's stories compared to my father's story. And I'm like, wow, this guy's life is kind of compared to mine.
Yeah.
But I wasn't thrust into nothing. I was a person that was traveling up here in the summertime, working for my father, and just working a watermelon stand.
Yeah.
And then put it back on the plane to his mother.
Yeah.
Going to high school for real.
Yeah.
I can't hear. I didn't know nothing about all this other stuff until I actually came to state.
Yeah.
Then he started easing me into all this other stuff.
That's funny, because like me and my siblings and I, we all worked in restaurants. We started like washing dishes, delivering orders, to ordering the food, we learned the whole business from the ground all the way to the,
Did he get any of his siblings or
his
anybody
siblings
else?
Siblings.
Did he get any of his brothers and sisters, the whole family involved in this business?
I mean, his kids, yeah. Me and my siblings, yeah. But, his family was kind of fractured. His mother died when he was 6 and he was on his own.
So he had no brothers and fathers.
Well,
he had no brothers and sisters.
He had a large family, but they split them up as kids. They all was in orphanages.
Wow, that's crazy.
He had a really difficult childhood.
My father brought all 8 of his brothers up here.
Yeah.
Before I came up here to work for him.
I mean, it must have been smart though, because
which was
yeah.
Which was something I didn't see until the last minute. It blindsided me, which was kind of like and that's kind of weird because last summer, a lot of my uncles they passed away, a few of them, but they all had kids that were young during all these years that a lot of my uncles worked for my father. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them live in Atlanta and all of them. A lot of them got their own businesses. Yeah. And they actually, we had never had a family reunion till last summer.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And some of my nephews and all of them, they flew into New York and we had this big family reunion over here on the east side.
Oh, cool.
Where all of us used to have apartments over there on the east side, like 110th over that way. Oh, nice. At Jackie Robinson Park over here.
I know the park, yeah.
And it was beautiful. And I was just like amazed to see a lot of my uncle kids, how far they had made it in life.
No, that is good.
I was impressed. I was like, wow. Well, it did some good for the next generation, I said.
Yeah. But like my mother's side of the family, we used to have a family reunion every year.
Oh, yeah?
In Maryland. Like, we have, land in Maryland. That goes all the way back to slavery, no less.
Uh-huh.
The story is actually an interesting story. The slave master fell in love with one of his wenches, one of his slave women, and all the kids that they had, he set them all free and gave them land. And that land is still in my family, on my mother's side. So we have a family reunion on that land every year. Like, it's been going on, I think we're up to 106 or something. So every year, for 106 years, we've been having a family reunion. But what's funny about it is that, it's in Maryland, in the country part of Maryland, near the Eastern Shores. And then there's people, I have family that live here in Brooklyn, or live here in New York. And the only time I really see them is down there. In Maryland.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, we in touch, but for the most time I see him is down there at our family reunion. Because I go down there twice, once in September and then once in November.
So what you presently working now, right?
No, I'm retired.
So you plan on doing any kind of peer council or anything like that?
I'm going to reinvent myself again. And I'm not exactly sure, what I'm going to do. Right now, my battle is to get clean and to stay clean and just to get myself in a better situation. I'm 65, so when I turn 66, I get my 401k and other stuff.
Man, you the same age. And it's funny, my challenge has been my health. That's what.
Unfortunate.
That's what killed me from actually finishing up. I struggle with my health.
You struggled with your health way back then.
It's just starting to turn around. And it's funny, since I got 60, it's starting to turn around.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm basically looking at programs for adults that want to return back to college and finish getting their degree. So I was telling Zach that checking out a few programs now at City College. They got a few programs like that.
Yeah.
And you know, when you got time on your
You
hands.
got time, yeah.
And I look at the worst thing I look at during that time I was involved in a lot of things because of my father.
Yeah.
I just put the time in as a father that I should have probably put in. That's the main thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I look back at, sometimes you can look back, not only your own kids and your own grandkids, but friends that also have and other young people in the community. You got to look to kind of inspire the next generation behind you.
Yeah.
And I think about that a lot. And I think about my own kids. Some of my grandkids went to finish college, and I think about even my own kids, thinking that I can't do it. Just to show them I could have did it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
to let them know that they can do anything, even at their age too.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I'm looking
too
at
late.
now. To just
Yeah.
push the other generation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? By trying to accomplish something at this point in my life.
Yeah.
And give back. And that's what life is all about right now.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
exactly.
You know, you can't just, and I have nothing but time in my hands.
That's it. Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
I got to learn to use my free time more
You know,
constructively.
when you at least got a roof over your head and you can eat, you
There
got
you go.
times on your head.
There you go.
So I'm like, let me try to get going in that direction and inspire the next generation.
Yeah.
Cause it beats sitting around not doing nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
'cause-
good Lord put us all on this earth to make a difference.
Well, that idle
Cause
time.
you know you're gonna call you home sooner or later one day. You might as well get something done while you're here.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's where I look at it.
Mhm.
You know, me and you the same age. I got 65. I'm looking back and say, might as well try to do something while you're here.
Something, yeah. Yeah. Actually,
Yeah.
like nowadays, I mean, you could be healthy till you're up in your 80s. You
Oh
know?
yeah.
I mean, you know,
Well, thing about it, you don't know how much time you
never know how much time
got.
you got. Get in tomorrow.
You got to just make the best of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's nice talking to you, Kev. On a more lighter note, I hope you going to get into whatever you think is the thing that's going to motivate you.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
I'll figure it out.
yeah.
Like right now, it's I'm more focused on dealing with my demons. You know, like I'm surprised how difficult the time I was having, like getting clean and staying clean. You know, but now, like I said, I got the formula. But I mean, it's working for me. It's like, and this coming to this place here, this is my safe zone.
You know what? On this rehabbing thing, I ain't gonna say it was easy for me, but I had one thing to motivate me, two things to motivate me on my journey with when I had a cocaine sniffing habit. And that journey, I'm gonna tell you about it because I was in a program at Manhattan Health.
Oh, Manhattan Health.
Up there on 165th Street.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Before I came to Upper Manhattan. So I used to be in this room with a group of people that had mandatory drugs. At the time, I had been clean for like 15 years. And I actually found myself being bored by listening to today's stories why they couldn't stop using drugs. I'm like, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would come there every day, every Friday. The therapist there would take everybody urine. They had a thing where they would actually make you piss in a cup.
Yeah.
So you come back that Monday, he would read out everybody urine that was dirty. And I'm like, here we go. I got to listen to this thing. And we all would get in front of the class, and I would try to tell some of the young people, find something to occupy their time, read a book, do anything, but don't do the same thing you're doing on the weekend.
Yeah.
And they all just look at me like, why he always keeps saying the same thing? And I told him about my experience. It just took one night. I never got to go into rehab, for real.
Good.
I cheated death. That's why.
Yeah.
I got to the point, like if I had a deviated septum operation where they took the piece out, and so they warned me when I was the doctor warned me when I was like 27. He said, man, if if you don't give a snort after it's gonna go directly into your brain.
Oh yeah, if you got
So I went in the Navy, came out, and went right back to it. For real.
You was in the Navy. I was in the
Yeah.
Air Force.
So when I got out the Navy, I went right back.
Yeah.
And then me actually still coming out the Navy and my father still being in that life, went right back to work with him.
Yeah.
And then what would be like a small like dime worth, I would sniff that and would get right away to feel like the person would think I was a freebase because it would go right to my brain.
Yeah.
So one day a girlfriend of mine's, my first apartment, I sniffed the dime and I started bugging out. And she called the ambulance, saved my life. Girlfriend of mine's.
Yeah.
I got the St. Luke's, they put me in a straitjacket. I was yelling. My blood pressure was 240 out of something. I asked the good Lord, I said, if you see me through this day, I'm done. That's why I say, you'd be surprised. I try to tell people that's in recovery, if you fake with death, the guy will send you a message then. If you don't stop then, you will never stop.
Yeah.
And I cheated death that night, Cav.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I still knew the sun came up and they took the straitjacket off of me, the nurse said, your blood pressure was 240 over like 100. It was mad high.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, she said, Mr. Kimber, you lucky. If you do any more drugs, you're going to leave here. And that was enough. So, I thank God. I can't tell other people.
Okay.
But you don't want to be in that situation of a life and death when it comes to any kind of drugs, whether it's liquor or anything. That's the only thing I can tell people. But that actually would force my hand.
I think almost dying is
I was scared
for anybody in any situation.
Yeah. I was scared to use it again.
Yeah.
And that's how I stopped on my own because I tried drinking for a little while. I tried other things. Then I stopped them things.
Yeah.
But I was just scared to do that again because I knew I almost died doing it.
Yeah.
And it stayed with me in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
And then I thought about the other thing. I said, I can't do it because I had kids. I got to be there for them one day. So them two things kind of just motivated me to just stop on my own.
Yeah.
And it wasn't easy. I tell people that. And I give people credit for going to programs like recovery that actually haven't been on the edge of life where they almost left it, like I did before they come to their sentence, or develop some kind of medical condition behind what they're doing, which is just as bad. So hey, I got a son who also drinks too much. So I try to talk to him, but the whole thing about any of these substance abuses, the person got to want to do it themselves. Yeah. And I tell my son, I said, man, you got to want to do it yourself. I even talked to, the older guy that do the liquor program here. And I said, man, I got a son I would like to drag here and let you talk to him. He said, man, your son going to have to come here on his own. You can't drag him. And he's right. I told him that. So, let's keep being strong. You would beat it.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
And it's always, hey, listen. I sit at home, even after years and years after I stopped. I didn't even know I had stopped. They say when you have to be around the same thing.
Yeah. We close it out. Okay. That's it.
Okay.
Right.
But I'm gonna say again, Kev, it was lucky. It was good to talk to you about this. I wish you the very best.
And thank you for having me.
Mad people on fought this battle.
Yeah.
And,
but Tony, thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be here.
And
I appreciate it.
And it was good. It was good talking to you at for members of the Rainbow. hopefully all of us be strong enough to overcome addiction. Everybody have a nice day.
Yep, signing out. Thank you. Thank you for having me.